or without beard? I like the beard. I think you should keep it. I don't know. So.
I don't know. We'll see next week if he takes it off. You know, we can. Maybe that's a good fodder for some of the video we do next week.
Gopher saying that this is the post game show. Yeah, this is the post game show according to Gopher Periscope. Oh man, hey, I sent over a whole pile of articles,
and I have time for absolutely none of it because I have to run.
I lose Dan, and then boom, there goes Ed.
Well, it's 1:00. I'm sorry, we've been busy.
Yeah, you're right. You're 5 minutes up to it. I mean, that.
Ed is.
But how much
Ed
fun
is
was
going
that?
to try. No. Ed is going to try to time his call to Dan to introduce Flip2 as soon as he gets into the office. So
Dan knows Flip2 because Dan stayed at one of his competitor hotels and shared pre-arrival and took part in the post-day advocacy as well.
I figured that Ed was being conservative for a reason because normally with some of the topics we were talking about, you were such a natural.
It's not fair, but it's not fair because if I talk about it, then I'm talking about it from like my lens. So I didn't want. First of all, I don't want hotels to feel like when they come on here, you're going to get a sale about Flip2.
Oh no, I know.
But we can.
I was going to tee it up for you actually because it was just. What are your thoughts on pre-arrival? Oh, I actually could question you Ed, before you run if you get the chance. Gopher's asking, what are your thoughts on pre-arrival? If you don't mind me asking, Gopher, what exactly about pre-arrival? Or Ed, do you just want to take it as a pre-arrival? What's important about pre-arrival?
So first of all, pre-arrival communications, I think, are a huge opportunity to solve just a lot of big, heavy problems. So first of all, anything you currently are trying to get done by having your front desk ask for it, you should see if you can move that into pre-arrival communications. You will get a much higher take rate. So that's any form of upsell, awareness of things on site,
making anything actionable after the fact. Capturing the data. Yeah.
Right. Because that's the other thing, too, is you can put things on pre-arrival to actually track the person who clicks on it. And if you're sophisticated enough, you can tie that back to their record and know that they're interested in these types of things. But first and foremost, the easiest reason to have a pre-arrival communication or a series of pre-arrival communications, it substantially cuts down no-shows. Like, by a lot. So if for no other reason, having a communication that reminds them they have a reservation coming up will cut on your no-shows.
Yeah. And all the fights on trying to get out of the guarantee and all those calls to accounting and all that problem. And the other one is ask why they're coming. Please. If you don't do it in the booking process on that, just say, hey, is there anything? Why are you here? Simple sort of stuff. And if you get those little tidbits, that's great. You can add it at the front desk if the front desk knows it, and you can train it into the process. You go, hey, if you're here with your family, here's some great things. There's a place down here that's really fun, and and again, we didn't cover it with Dan, but it's interesting because he has, I don't know, at least a half dozen properties in Honolulu, probably maybe 10, somewhere between maybe 6 and 10, and probably at least 5 in Maui. You can really start doing some interesting things and also investing in some content. Like here's Hanama Bay, and maybe you start doing 360s with Hanama Bay or the North Shore, all these places where you can go where you kind of get a little bit out of town and not just you're on the beach there and locked into the hotel, all that sort of, which Outrigger doesn't really do a lot of that. I mean, they certainly promote a lot of stuff that they have and their properties, but all the different things you can do, and the Pearl Harbor War Memorial, which people love. But again, you don't want to pitch that to everybody. If you can figure out what's going on, and this is the right persona for it, boom, here's a thing that will make just a great vacation.
So pre-arrival communications, people are going to open them because it's a continuance of your reservation of your booking, right?
Right on top of the pile.
So first and foremost, if that's the primary reason of the communication, you can keep it very transactional in nature, which will get a higher open rates, things like that. So
Ed, you just made a really, really excellent point. Not that you don't make excellent points, but that's a really excellent point. If I were to look at
he made one. Yeah.
Hallelujah!
This is one of those nuggets of gold. Okay, first off, you haven't Evan on the on Periscope. He's saying yes and great, and he's so inconsistent. But about pre-arrival stuff. But you just made a really amazing point that I didn't really think about until you just said it that way. Of all the communications that I'm going to have with a guest, that is the highest opportunity of guaranteed engagement that I have, because
so don't
just like I'm
abuse
waiting
it.
for a check from somebody, I'm going to open up every email that they send me, or not email, but mail that they owe me, because I'm waiting for that check. Same too with the pre-arrival. I'm coming there. So if you're going to send me something, maybe it's a benefit or a bonus or a happy thought or whatever, I'm going to at least open it up. That's a great point.
Yeah. And you look at organizations like, Nor1 has made a business out of this to really figure out
upsell,
in terms of selling upsells and things like that. I mean, if you can see an organization like that has made a fairly substantial business about doing that, well, there's obviously something there if you're doing it on your own. So, and it's not just upsells, it's just how do you increase it, how do you get more information on these guys, and if they do start clicking on different things and experiences, boy, those are all signals for future, here's cool stuff you might like, or how to make things better, and how to, again, it's all fulfillment of getting the staff tied into it and getting the actual.
I know you have to run, but we're the dynamic trio for next week for the HSMEI Digital Marketing Conference. Between the three of us, we're going to be doing
it's the dressiest you will see us.
It'll be it'll be the dressiest you see us, really. We're going to be doing live coverage of the conference. I'll start putting up posts on all the platforms of when we're going to be doing exactly what times. I figure right now we're going to have 4 live breaks out of the course of the day. More if we get more engagement, we'll just fire up the camera and go live and leave it at that. Barring any Wi-Fi connection issues and so forth. So for everybody that's not familiar with what we're talking about, really, is next week is the Adrian Awards on Tuesday evening in the Marriott Marquis in New York City. Big gala about the best of the best in the industry getting their awards. Hopefully we'll have a little coverage of that as well. But our big forte will be the live coverage outside of the meeting room or the conference room as we pull people off stage and recap what they just presented on stage, plus feedback from those that listened to the presentations. So we're going to have some really cool stuff for Ed. So keep an eye out for all of these channels that you're finding us on. It will be only on Facebook Live that I'm going to be focusing on, because we won't be able to multicast. I don't think there's bandwidth even for one. It's a fingers crossed. 2, they would require a studio of computers here for me to do that. So Facebook, we're going to do it on our super cool little nifty computer here, or camera here.
Do you have someone coming to hold it?
No, I got a nice little monopod with a little tripod.
So now you have something to put it on, because at High Tech you had to have someone hold it.
Yeah, I know. I got smarter since then. Well, no, not smarter. I've gotten reactionary. I've reacted to the issues.
Yes. You've reacted well.
Yes, exactly.
So yes, I have that stuff for it, because the other cameras just didn't flat out work, but this one will work. So anyway, for Mr. Ed, if anybody wants to reach out to you for what you do or what Flip2 does, where's the best way for them to find you?
To find out more about Flip2, go to www.flip.to. And to find out more about me, you can find me on pretty much any social media under my name, Edward St. Ange.
And if you want to know anything about Star Wars, anything about how to enjoy Star Wars in Orlando, especially, Mr. Ed is the man.
You want to know anything about traveling with kids in general, I'm becoming.
That's right. Mr. Ed's the man. Yeah. So, very true. Very true.
So anyways, gentlemen, thank you. I will see you next week. Travel safe. Let's hope for a warm week like it's supposed to be. I heard that this morning.
I was going to check the weather. Is it supposed to be warm next week?
Which will still be cold for me, but it will be warm.
Yeah. Looks like it's be okay. I think Thursday it starts to rain. So
I'm leaving Thursday, so who cares?
Yeah.
I'm staying through Saturday, so hopefully we'll see.
Things don't exist when I'm not there, so it doesn't matter.
Until the window opens. All right, Mr. Ed, thank you very much. We'll see you.
Have a good one.
Tuesday.
Thank
you for the time. Robert, we can decide to just take the whole news list, or was there one that just so stood out that you just feel compelled that if we don't talk about it this week, it'll be old news next week?
I thought a couple of them. The Facebook features, the events feature, and the recommendations. The recommendations I have seen used now on a couple posts, and I actually used it myself, where someone's going, I believe, to the conference. They're looking for a New York, cheap hotel. They're saying they're staying at the conference at the Marriott Marquis. They didn't say they're weak, but they are in the hotel, so I kind of assumed that. And I gave them, you plugged in 3 recommendations, and there you go, boom, links right off to their Facebook pages. I've got to think at some point Facebook turns that into some sort of monetization where it's a I don't know if you pay for the click to go to your page, maybe or maybe not, but then you can wind up booking off of that page and like that. But I've got to think that's going to be an area where hotels that have the booking engines integrated with their Facebook pages, that could be an interesting, a very interesting aspect. And again, I don't know. I think right now it's kind of a freebie type thing. So interesting. Which I think will get monetized at some point. So it's kind of like Instagram. When organic was really good on Facebook, when organic stuff was really good, do it now before the toll gate gets installed. So.
The couple of ones I've noticed, it was like with the Cody article, for everyone that all the show notes, the links we're about to talk to you about, or the topics, will be on the show notes at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live is where you'll see the show, and the link that goes to the particular post. The particular post will be hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live show/80, which is the show number 80, for the particulars of these links.
And I try to put the links into the comments, so they will be seen there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, because I'm typing on the other side of these things. I like Cody's article. Cody, for anyone that's not familiar with it, is a meta search platform. They're the dashboard interface for you to use meta search for your hotels. Unfortunately, their scalability doesn't allow it for one-off hotels or small clusters of hotels. They still are operating in the high capacity space, enterprise level stuff. But they're a huge, great resource for information, and they do a great blog. If you're not keeping up with them, I highly recommend. Cody is koddi.com. And they had an interesting article on features disparity between Google Hotel Search, between mobile and desktop, and whether you were searching for a hotel as to whether or not it was giving you recommendations and pricing, or whether it was giving you trending. And so some things are being omitted one to the other, and I don't want to rush through it, but because I would like to bring it back in another conversation when we get out the team together, maybe at the end of next week or the week after, because it does have an impact. These little nudges that Google does and little nudges that Facebook does and so forth may seem innocuous at the time, like, oh, well, that's just a neat little new feature. But just like we talked about last week, the ramifications of trending rates for hotels in local mobile search is scary, because it then means that now in your hand at that moment of those micro moments, as Google describes it, there's a new influencer as to what decision you're making. Right. If you're looking and you like the hotel and you think the rate is reasonable and everything's fine and the location is good, and then you scroll down and see, wait a minute, it's at its peak price right now. Right. Screw it. That could be just as painful as going to TripAdvisor and reading that somebody thinks this is the most disastrous hotel in the world. Yeah. So these little nudges can create profound impacts as to what really happens. So again, and I've been doing a
bit of work on Google stuff. It's interesting. There are lots of little experiments going on. They have been looking at little bar charts of pricing trends and things like that. But they'll also come up with something that says this is one of the top 10% of the hotel. Like this hotel is in the top 10% in terms of guest ratings and little things like that. So they're experimenting around with this little kind of messaging to kind of trigger different things. So it's an interesting but the one thing though that is still heinously lacking, just to pick on Google for a second, is they've taken the same approach that Priceline has when they do, not in booking.com, but I think it's kind of it's the old GDS method of booking, where when the GDSs started, they had single and double occupancy, and that was it. And there was only a price for a third person in the room, and it didn't really work well for kids and that sort of thing. The kids stay free. It was really, really kludgy, and it still unfortunately is largely in the GDSs. But Google doesn't have a party size. And it just drives me crazy, because when I'm searching for a hotel, and like if I'm traveling with my daughter, we need two beds. So at least we don't want to be in a king or in a single double bed or something like that. Right. And all of a sudden the pricing can change, the room types can change, all that really super relevant content is gone, and you wind up having this awful experience of having to drill down into the hotel, look at the available rooms, see if that's good, come back, and you you want to kill yourself. I mean, it's like literally moving back in time 15 years. And it's always been amazing that Priceline has never has never done that, especially on their express deals and things like that. And that Google's doing that. It's a disservice to the traveler, and it's just
no,
it's
absolutely
ridiculous.
An excellent point with that, because you and I travel differently. I don't have children at that age to worry about traveling with, so for me, I've never noticed the inconvenience. And as you're talking about it, I'm sitting there going, why would they not have done that? That makes such sense.
Google Express Deals or Name Your Own Price, that whole segment has never confirmed anything more, and it's in very small type. 2 people in the room, double occupancy, that's it. So we learned that early on, booking something and going, what the hell? Why did we get this? Because the hotel's picking the room. You're like, yeah, but we have 3 people. Oh, you never asked. It's like, and even if you put in the comments, that's nothing, right? It doesn't get seen. It isn't, a viable field. Never makes it to the hotel most of the time, and it's garbage. So we wind up Priceline loses a ton of business from us, because I have 5 current hotel booking, and I think I've been very outspoken on this topic, and I apologize, hoteliers, for this, but I think I have 5 standing hotel bookings that over the next 45 days I'm paying my own dime on. They are all through Hotwire, every single one, because I got really stupidly low rates that are lower than what I could have booked directly, and it's amazing. So anyway, and I really look at a lot of these situations. I think a lot of more of the informed bookers are now starting to book something on booking.com, lock in a price, and that's now your max sort of thing. And you can cancel it, all the way up to, day before arrival, something like that. And then you can go in and either use triggers that are used by some of the OTAs and things like that to, do price alerts or whatever, or you start going and pinging and hitting these, these opaque sites. And if you do that, you get rates which are stupidly low based on the lack of discipline by the hotel revenue managers.
Sure.
And,
we brought that up a few times before,
or intentional strategy. And actually, I think a good example was, I think you booked the row, right? Which I think when you booked it, the retail price was $99. I think you got, I think what happened, Ed gave you an insider deal tip type thing, right? For $79.
But there's still a resort fee I got to contest. They're still trying to charge $25 a day for a resort fee, and I'm like,
of course they are. That's their money. No. That's it. That's how they make their money. It's $25, and that's why it's going to. Well, I don't know. With the new administration, this may not take place. We'll have to see. But the Federal Trade Commission was all over this, going, you've got to stop this. It's wrong.
We'll see how well the world changes with all the things going on. You're right.
But what I was going to say is the price at the row is, I think right now for next week, is $80. That's their retail price. That's not the deal. That's it. And those guys, Highgate is driving the competition nuts in New York, because they're bringing it down. They're filling the property. They're pricing to fill, right? Which is the same way Ryu drives all the all-inclusive guys nuts in Mexico and the Caribbean. They price it to fill. They know how they do it, and boom, they have consistent.
It is so true. I mean, it's funny. Due to the old, if anybody wants to empathize what the revenue manager's life is like, imagine that you're doing a garage sale and you're trying to sell an item, and you bought it for $50. You're trying to sell it for $50. It's used, but you bought it for $50. You're trying to get your money back. Somebody walks up and they say, how much is this? You say $50, and they look and they show you on Amazon. It's $20 on Amazon. And it's $50 new, and it's used here, and it's $15 if I want to go to the egg. Now, how much is it again? And the revenue manager is going to still stand there. This is the dumb man. This is not dumb. These are the revenue managers that try to think that their bluff is actually going to work. Stay with the lie kind of thing. Well, it's $50. Well, good. Then you can keep it. And next thing you know, it's perishable and it's gone. So These revenue managers, and then on the other point of it is they don't know what they have. It's a $50 item, and they're selling it for a buck.
The revenue manager has it, and it's available for a lower price through another channel that's somehow getting into TripAdvisor or something, and some meta search platform. You're like, wait a second, how'd that wind up there?
So I was in Shanghai, and I wanted this little souvenir trinket, okay, and they're booths side by side, and I was in obviously a touristy section, service,
Yeah.
you know, and stuff. And the guys, I'm haggling. It's like, no, I'm only going to pay this. I'm going to pay this. He's like, oh yeah, fine. And he walks, you know, goes to walk away. I'm like, fine. I go to put it back down. The booth right next to him, which has the same shit, goes over and says, I'll sell it to you for that. And the guy looks at him and they start lighting up on each other in Chinese. And I'm like, hey, the dude wanted to sell. You didn't want to sell. He's willing to take what I'm offering.
That's
you
right.
lost. And I bought it right in front of him.
He's got a qualified lead. Yep.
Touching. Yep. Okay. So a few other quick touch points on some stuff, which is kind of fun. Social side of things. Since we do live Periscope, live Periscope is now in what is the Twitter's Explorer tab. Now, for those who are not big Twitter people and people who are not big Periscope people, Periscope is owned by Twitter, so that you know. Periscope, with their live presentations, they just now turned it where you can do it off a desktop, which is what we do now. They used to be you can only do it off of mobile, and it was kind of a float out there on their own, and they got destroyed and pretty much eaten up. They destroyed Meerkat, but then they never really completed the baked process for Periscope. They kind of floundered as a platform that people were using. Snapchat ate them up and everything else. Well, then Twitter finally did the right thing and incorporated them into their Twitter stream and called it Twitter Live, even though it's still Periscope, because if you try to do Twitter Live, if you don't have a Periscope account or app, you actually have to get one and load it. And now Twitter's increased Periscope's profile by adding them into the Explorer tab. And the Explorer tab is Twitter's way of doing a news feed. It's not just trending stuff. It's things that are tailored to what you're following, who's following you. It's kind of like realizing that Facebook's got a great model here. So maybe we should do it since we're the low end on the totem pole now. And so they've included their live broadcast in the Explorer tab, which makes it interesting because I have seen this flux in audience in Periscope today that kind of strange in that sense. It's just where people come in and they leave kind of stuff. So I think there's an exposure value to it. Twitter realizes, as Zuckerberg has said, video is the future, period. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, his investment in Facebook Live and what they're doing, how they're amplifying it, how they're focusing it, I think Twitter's saying, you know, rather than fight it, let's realize that there's smart people in the world with us. Let's do what they're doing too.
Well, and actually they call them moments, right?
Yeah, moments.
They're moments. So yeah, and it's interesting. You know, a lot of it is it's kind of trending. You know, they have today, news, sports, entertainment, and it should be curated based on who you follow and things like that. So it's interesting. The challenge with Twitter though is their user growth and their engagement time is even though the president uses it as his favorite mode of communication.
You're not going to go political.
It's not. Well, no, I'm just saying from a pure.
No. I'm just because I'm so frustrated with that concept. But yes.
Yeah. But again, if you figure the president's using this, well, all these people are going to be on it, but it's not. It doesn't really work that way. What's happening is those tweets are getting accumulated. They're getting thrown out somewhere else in other stories that people are reading either on the New York Times or Mashable or God knows where through some other media thing. And Twitter's not monetizing it, which is a real problem. They've got to really figure that out, or they're going to wind up on the either getting acquired or in the boneyard.
Same thing Russia will buy them and just use it.
Same thing with Pinterest.
Pinterest has been overtaken as well, which there's an article about from Adweek that we threw in the list, and that was that, and this is for wedding planners and Smurf market business people, 900 million wedding related pins every year. The statistics in this article, which are really quite amazing, about how Pinterest is the first de facto platform that people go to plan their wedding before they're even asked to be married. They actually are going to Pinterest to explore what magic they want. So all of the things that the Knot have tried to accomplish, weddingplanner.com has tried to accomplish, of being the de facto core place to go, Pinterest is taking it from them. Pinterest is
romance outrigger looking at honeymoons and destination weddings, things like that, should be all over Pinterest.
All over,
right.
Absolutely.
Plus, you can
absolutely Pinterest, and Pinterest has some great profiling on their advertising campaign. So
except Pinterest problem is they aren't monetizing it, and actually they have some pretty amazing engagement, primarily for the demographics who use it heavily. But again, they don't have this big user growth spike and things like that, which the investors are really looking for. That's a problem. The third one is Snapchat, and boy, all of their user growth when basically Instagram knocked them off, with their little video snippets, their user growth flattened, and they're doing an IPO right now, but that could get.
Oh, you see how much
I
money
don't
they're
know.
losing?
I don't know if that. Oh yeah,
See the stats on that?
$500 million last year. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
they're good at spending other people's money. That's amazing.
oh, yeah.
So they have
And
to
so
go
yeah,
IPO.
they could be the next Twitter, which would not exactly a successful IPO
No.
for the people who've hung on to it. So yeah, it's
Anybody you know? Anybody in particular? No. All right.
no. I didn't make that
Couple
right.
other point outs was, and this is an article I do want to bring up with the guys again next week if we can get everybody together. Let's first off remind us that we want to tell Dan about Pinterest next week, as a courtesy to him about his wedding stuff, because he did ask about weddings.
Hey, no, we don't. He needs to watch the full thing, and if he's then he'll know.
All right. Now the article I want to make sure we bring up next week because it's a great article, and that came from Skift, and I know it's not the article itself; it is the topic and what they point out. And it's hotel revenue managers say they want a revolution.
Yeah.
I have argued this. Revenue managers, we need to change. Oh, we need this. Oh, we need this. But then they sit back and don't change.
Right.
They don't. They want all this. They're told that they want all this. They tell everybody they want these things. But when you talk to revenue managers as they are now, the last thing they want is change. What they want is better what they're doing, but they don't want to be the ones that necessarily do it. And I'm being critical about this. There are some that are really taking this to heart and doing something fantastic with it. And I do speak on the Rocket Circuit, which, by the way, is coming up in March for New York, St. Louis, and Baltimore. I think are the first three that I'm going to. And then in April, I'm going to be joining San Diego, Orange County, and Hawaii. So I might see Dan by then. So yeah, Jeremiah's over there saying San Diego. Will be coming up. And in there is revenue managers that come in. It's revenue optimization, continued education training. And so I'm talking about the advocacy of digital marketing with revenue management. So part of my discussion is literally hinging on being able to point to this article and say, guys, a year ago, you said you wanted all these things to happen. And it's a year later and you've done nothing to make them happen. It's not that they still don't need to happen. It's just you haven't done anything to make them happen. So I definitely want to bring that article up next week when we have the guys on, because I think that's going to be a nice little fuel on the fire. Director of Demand Generation. Thanks. Yeah. Revenue Manager, Director of Demand Generation. Absolutely right, Jeremiah.
A couple of the other articles. Amazon Chime, I think, is very interesting, which is basically their Skype killer. So that's going to be, free online meetings. That will be very interesting to see how they do the whole video conferencing thing. We'll see if that's a shot at Microsoft or what their plans are in that. And their world domination. And that was very interesting. Dan's comment about Hawaii, that Amazon Prime works. Let me tell you, that's
wow.
That's
Can you imagine having Amazon Prime when you if you lived out in those environments? That's a life changer.
But just think of their logistics and analytics. They know what people want. They have buying patterns. They've got all this stuff, and then they can load up airplanes and move it. And again, Amazon's thing, I really believe, is they, it's like watch out FedEx and UPS, and maybe not the U.S. Postal Service, because I think Amazon actually supports a lot of what they do. That's a nice thing for them to use. But boy, what they're doing right now is they're going to do with basically what they've done with Amazon Web Services, right? Where they have all these massive servers and they lease out the space, right? They go, hey, you can use our stuff. They're going to be doing the same thing with their fulfillment center, and they already have.
You're in Dallas.
You can use their fulfillment. Yeah.
You're in Dallas with me. Every Amazon package I get does not show up with a traditional carrier.
Right.
It's a person in the car.
Themselves. Yeah, no, they do it. They do it themselves.
They're doing crowd sharing car. They're using the Uber Amazon link or something right now, where they're having the drivers do Amazon deliveries, and so it's giving them a second filter for the
drivers. If you're Prime now, yeah, that's a huge thing. You get stuff within a couple hours. But
late last night, and the reason why Edison went crazy earlier in the show was because the ding dong at the door wasn't the squirrels. The ding dong at the door. It was my Amazon package, and as soon as the ding dong happened, my phone's popping. It's already delivered. I'm like,
well, and if you're Macy's now and you're trying to run your own stuff, it's just like Amazon Web Services. It's probably at some point going to be cheaper to use Amazon than to try to do this stuff on your own and pay FedEx and do all this stuff.
Walmart's trying to do the $35 up. Target already has $25 in up. But
Yep.
did you see that in Statistica, that article showing the revenue generation of malls? They're down at revenue levels
Yep.
of 2001.
Oh yeah.
That's revenue levels, not adjusted for revenue of dollar recession. So
Oh no.
they're
No.
way
And
lower than that.
you look at the malls in Dallas, and I mean North Park is
North
doing
Park.
pretty well.
North
Valley
Park
View.
is a different. It's not a mall so much. It's a North Park shops, or I mean, they refuse.
Well, no, it's a mall, and
It
it
is,
has
yeah,
been, and it's
but
always
have
been established there.
Have you
And
been a
yeah,
client of mine before? If you called them mall, they would shoot you. They are not a but look at the shops they have in their stuff. But anyway, that's another
oh yeah,
sidebar. But
no, but they're doing very well. Valley View, almost deceased.
yeah,
Irving Mall, almost deceased. There used to be Prestonwood Mall that I think got leveled and
up here the
Galleria, nah,
Collins Mall up here or whatever it is, it's gone. And now the only ones that seem to be doing well are the open air, walkable, quasi park,
right. Yep.
engagement ones. But all right, well, we went off into the retail world. But
okay, well. Oh, and one other thing, just while we're on totally tangential things, since you threw out the Skift article on the travel startups rethinking car rentals beyond sharing.
Yeah.
There are two sharing ones though that I am really, really hot on. Number one is Turo, Turo. Have you heard of Turo?
I've heard of
It's
Turo.
okay if you have. Okay, well, Turo is backed by Google Ventures, and it's basically Airbnb for cars. So you can go and say, "Hi, I've got an SUV, and it's this and that, and here's the price." And in many cases, they will set it up to deliver it. Some of them for free to the airport. Sometimes it's instant confirmation. It's kind of the very early days of Airbnb, but very interesting stuff. And again, user-generated content for reviews and getting the people who are reliable to the top and the guys who aren't to the bottom, and the people with the better reviews can charge more. Same exact dynamic, but with cars, which I think is a very interesting approach. And then the other one is BlaBlaCar, and BlaBlaCar hasn't come to the U.S. and really North America, but huge in France. I can't remember the millions.
Never heard of that one. Never heard of that one.
BlaBlaCar is, think of the at the college ride board. So it's for city to city transportation. So I'm here, I'm in Dallas, and I want to go to New Orleans, sort of thing. Well, if somebody's driving there, you can ride with them as a
that's a great idea.
But with a really, really interesting twist, the drivers can't make money on it.
What?
So these guys have the algorithms that say, okay,
so
you have
gas costs, basic gas money.
That's right, and they have a cost per mile that you're driving your Mercedes diesel, or I'm not trying to think of whatever the biggest. You're driving your Escalade, right? Or something like that versus your smart car. They have, here are the different prices, and then this is it. That's what it's going to be. And the driver kind of pays I think kind of pays their share. So it isn't like they profit from it, and they have no way to say, hey, I'm going to jack it up because there are a lot of people, I'm going to go the highest. But it's like, here's the price. So it makes it very affordable, very equitable, and really, really powerful.
Is Car Relocator, because there's a whole network of car relocation services, but nobody's monetized that to say, hey, like for instance, we're wanting to go down to Florida, and we would drive a truck down if we would. Instead, we're doing a trailer because we need a vehicle to come back with. Where we'd much rather say, hey, does somebody need a car brought over to Dallas? Because we'll just go bring your car to Dallas on our way back. But there's no network to do that with, unless you get these. I
think actually
services.
I think there might be some. But they're not widely.
I love that idea. That's a great idea.
Now the best high school job of anyone I have ever heard of was a guy when I was in Seattle, and I don't know if it would really work anymore, but his dad was a United pilot, and he did a deal with the Porsche dealer in Seattle or in Bellevue. And what he would do is he would fly back to New York for free, or wherever on the East Coast where they're getting the cars in from Germany off the ship, Baltimore or New York, wherever that was. He would fly back, and he would not only drive the car, but he would break it in. Right, so he wouldn't drive it over 50 miles an hour. Everything be fine. Drives a really cool car across the country, and then gets paid by the person because they're saving money and the shipping and all that.
That would be an awesome job.
It's all amazing business.
Almost. Hey, we're running to that point where we're going to click over, but real quick. So we're going to be together in New York. Now you're arriving Tuesday next week.
I arrive Tuesday morning-ish. Depending on how long it takes me to get out of the airport.
Afternoon sessions for posterity, and then we'll get together sometime, I guess, towards before the Adrians. I don't know what access we have to the Adrians. We're all pressed now, so you get a press badge. I get a press badge.
Wait for the Adrians?
Well, I'm hoping.
Maybe we should let's sign off and discuss this.
Yeah, I don't know. We're getting press passes. We'll figure it all that out. But anyway, so for everyone, we're going to next week. We're going to the Adrians, which is HSMAI's gala. On Wednesday is the Digital Marketing Conference. If you're not able to attend this session, keep an eye out for us on Facebook at facebook.com/hospitality digital marketing. We will be doing live coverage of the show of the conference outside of the conference hall. So we'll be pulling people off stage, getting feedback from people that were in the audience and so forth. So we're going to do at least 4, if not more, live broadcasts during the course of the day there. We'll post that up on events so that you can see me join us or schedule for it as soon as I put that together in the next day or two before leaving. And then we're going to be doing a regular standard show on Friday anyway. But Robert and Ed and I are going to be kind of doing that in tag team fashion out there. So it should be a lot of fun. Mr. Robert, if people want to find you, where do they find you, sir?
rockcheetah.com or at Robert K. Cole on all social media.
And for us, the show notes of all of this are at hospitalitydigital.com. digitalmarketing.com, /live. There you can find the links to all of the things we discussed today. And of course, a complete replay of this will be available when you get there. So with that, thank you everyone for being with us on Hausa, which is the second to the last show. Next week will be our last show on Hausa before we move to our new platform. For those of us on Periscope, for those of us on Facebook Live, and for those of us on YouTube Live, thank you all very, very much. And for YouTube Live, if you made a comment and I missed it, I sincerely apologize. Please give me your questions because we do the Monday Marketing Minute where we do answer some questions we don't get to on the show. And if it's a great question, we'll definitely throw it in there to be answered to. And all that stuff can still be found on hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. So with that, thank you to everyone. You all have a great day. And thank you. Thanks again for Dan when you play this back for having joined us. I had a great show with you. Take care. Bye, Mr. Robert.
Bye, everyone.